a code-along tutorial on Trusted Auth for devs.
So today we want to cover trusted authentication. So we will cover a sample, how you can create a sample, a small service for trusted authentication. So I will start with a small demo here. So this is a sample app we have created on Code Sandbox, which already uses trusted auth. And if you see here, if I just go on inspect, and I will see if I go to network, and let me just refresh this one. So if we wait for it to load, I will see, let's see. Token. Yeah, so you see a token call, this token auth server call. So this call goes to a token auth server. And if you see the response is a token. So how does trusted auth work? So when you are using Visual Embed SDK, we do initialization. Init is the first thing we call. We pass the ThoughtSpot host. We pass the auth type as trusted auth token cookieless. We have two trusted auth schemes. One is cookie based, the other is cookieless. Now we recommend everyone to use cookieless because that works across all browsers, regardless of their support of third-party cookies. And then you pass this method called getAuthToken, where you fetch the token. So it expects that this function, this callback, will return a token in text. So we have hooked it up to this token endpoint. And if I just go to this token endpoint, this token endpoint is a token server, which is a node token auth server. I've hosted it on Vercel, and I've called API get token username. If I go back here, I call this token endpoint, and then I just get the text returned from the API. And this is the call made here, which returns the token in plain text. That token is returned from this get auth token callback, and then the SDK continues to like it can now use this token. So whenever it needs a new token, it will call this fetch. It will call this token endpoint to retrieve a new token. So now what we want to cover today is how do I implement this token endpoint? So if I go to the code which backs okay, I was just reading the chat. So this is a sample, the backing code for that auth server. So this is the relevant part here, right here. So we expose, so we use Express here. You can use anything. You could use Python, you could use Java. I'm using JavaScript for this demo. And then you can get certain, and then I accept for this particular API, I accept the username as a path param. You could implement the scheme however you want. But the main thing here is this API call, which says post. I do a post call. I use Axios here. I do a post call to the ThoughtSpot host / API REST 2.0 auth token full. This is the main piece here. And what I call it with is a secret key, a username, and then a flag called autocreate. We'll go over the various options you can pass to this API to do certain things. but the basic fundamental things are your secret key and your username. So how do I get the secret key, right? So let's go to let me open this in a new tab. So if you are on a ThoughtSpot instance, you go to your develop tab and then you go to security settings. And if you scroll down here, there is this thing called trusted authentication enabled. If you click on edit here, you'll find a secret key. So this is the secret key for this instance. And you can copy this secret key and use it for authentication. So this secret key is like the most powerful key uh, we can create for a ThoughtSpot instance, because it can create a user with any permissions we want. We can create admin users also using it. So that's why it's called secret, because we don't want it to leak. We can create a secret key for the whole instance, including all orgs, like what I do here. Like all orgs will create a secret key for everyone. But if I go to primary org and if I go to security settings, I can see that there is a secret key for this org as well. I can switch the org, and that will give me a different uh, like I can switch to other orgs here, and there I can get a secret key for that org. So if you get per org secret keys, those are only valid for that org. But if you get an all org secret key, those can create users or authenticate any user into any org. So that's the difference between per org secret keys and all org secret keys. So use the appropriate secret key when you are implementing your auth server. So you pass your secret key here. The other parameter is username. So these two are the basic ones. So if you these two are the mandatory ones, you can choose to not pass any of the others. So if you just pass these two, we will create a bearer token for this user. If this user does not exist, then this API will error out. But if this user exists, then we create a bearer token for this user, and then that bearer token is returned. There are certain other um, payload to the API call, and then everything, and then we can return. So that's what I just returned. So I just read the token from the response here and return it. That's what we saw here. That's what we got here. So it's fairly simple. We are not doing it on the client side, because if we did it on the client side, our secret key would be exposed. So the only reason we need to do it on the server is to keep our secret the secret. So, but it's very basic to implement this. It's very simple, straightforward. We on the backend, we just call this auth token full API call with secret key username and some other parameters which make it more powerful. We will go over them after this one. Uh, but it will enable you to just create bearer tokens which you return, and that can be used by the Visual Embed SDK to authenticate any user. Um, Now let's go over the various options this API provides me. So there is a username we just saw. So maybe let's just try. So let's say I want a new user called AMA user. And let's say I want to put a password. Let's say AMA 123. And let's put the secret key. So I already saw there was a secret key here. Let's use the all org secret key. Um, let's see. Let's use this secret key. And so now if you don't really need to give the password if the user exists, but then there is this auto create flag. We saw that we were using the auto create flag. So this flag is really powerful. So it creates a new user if the specified username does not already exist in ThoughtSpot. So if the user, so this enables you to create users on the fly. That's the powerful feature of this API. So I will say auto create, right? So I know this EMA user does not exist. It will create it with it will now create it. Um, so and then there is org ID. So this says ID of the org context to log into. If org ID is not specified, then the user will be logged into the org corresponding to secret key. So this is where our org specific secret keys come into the picture. We just saw, right? If I went to primary org and got the secret key for the primary org, this is the secret key for the primary org. Maybe let's just try this one, right? So I take this secret key and put it here. So now this user will be created in that primary org. I don't need to specify an org ID now. Let's say I just create a dummy email. And then group identifiers. So this is another interesting one. So you can also, when a user is created, you can also assign them to certain groups. So and groups have roles, group have privileges. So you can basically set up this user to have access to any objects in the system or um, any privileges. Like we have a set of privileges like downloading data or creating data models. There are n number of privileges, so we can associate those privileges to groups, and we can also associate objects like libboards and answers to groups. So, and we can also define group memberships of a user we create on the fly using this API. You can also change the group memberships. Let's say the user already existed. And if you specified group membership, then their group membership will get updated. So if you want to update the access for a user, you can also use this API. So I will not assign this user to a group right now. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Okay, there is some issue here. I'll just refresh this page. Okay, let's try this again. EMA user. Secret key. So validity time. I forgot to talk about this one. This is the validity time. How long is that bearer token return valid for? By default, it's valid for 5 minutes. You can make it valid for as long as you want, and then just use this token for various different purposes. Okay, let's try it again. So this is running right now. And yeah, we got a token. So this is the token for this user, valid for this user ID, valid for this username. This is the expiration. I set up the expiration to be 30,000 seconds. The difference between these two is approximately 30,000 seconds. Um, uh, Access type is full and org ID is 0. So 0 represents primary org. So it represents user created in the primary org. And now if I go here and I go to, let's say, the admin and search for AMA. This is AMA user. It was created 51 seconds ago. So just created right now. So yeah, so we just saw how powerful this API is. We can use it to create users on the fly. and assign them to any group, and also log in an existing user. Um, cool. So I'll continue. Um, so yeah, so we saw how this can be powerful tool to create users, and we can use this API to create or log in an existing user, or change their group memberships or create a new user. Uh, so there is also we also have a API SDK. So you could use our API SDK as well to call that API. So I just wanted to flash that as well. So if you see this API SDK, we can import uh, like bearer authentic. So these two types are exposed from this npm package call at ThoughtSpot REST API SDK, and then uh, this authenticated client is then basically the client which you could use to make API calls. Um, this client can be used to also make the call which we just talked about, like given a secret key, create a user or call that API. So if I see the basic client, that might just do that. So yeah, so this basic client so you create a basic client against a ThoughtSpot host, and now on the ThoughtSpot basic client, you can call the uh, create auth token full API call, and we will give the completions on how to do it. Um, we can actually check that out if let me see. So if I go here and I open this in Code Sandbox, so all our developer examples can open as a code sandbox. Um, so please check out this repository of examples. This is a very good resource in my opinion. Um, so if I just go to the ThoughtSpot client and let's go to the basic client, for example. Um, so let's say I have the ThoughtSpot basic client. And if you see here, now we have all these, right? So it's like create, get full access token. We just use that API, and it will suggest what all we need to, for example, secret key. So it says secret key and blah, blah, blah is like username. So you see it all of these are here as parameters, and you can use auto completion here to actually use. So you can call the APIs directly via the endpoints, which we see in the playground, or you can use the TypeScript SDK or Python SDK to work with them on the language of your choice, and you'll get these auto completions as well. Um, cool, awesome. So that is what I wanted to cover here. Um, cool.